As well as being able to do standard designs inside of Revit, we've also got the ability to work with both phasing and design options for different types of workflows inside of Autodesk Revit. They're actually really easy to work with, and the functionality is there right off the shelf. First of all, if we look at phasing, should you want to customize the phasing, we can go to our Manage tab, and then under the Phasing panel, you've got Phases. We can here see project phases, filters for the phases, and graphics overrides for the phases. The idea here is that you set up different phases that you want to work with for the project. For example, we have existing geometry and new construction. We then have the filters that we want to be able to work with on our views. So show all geometry, show the geometry once the job or the project is complete, show demolished and new, show new only, so on and so forth. We then have the ability to customize how each of those pieces of geometry that are assigned to those phases are displayed. For instance, existing geometry is displayed with these lines, this pattern. Demolished information is shown with a dashed line. New information is showed with a bold line, so on and so forth. And again, each have its own material assigned. So whilst I'm using the out-of-the-box configuration, you can tweak and customize this to your heart's content to suit your project requirements or your company's requirements. And then all we need to do is put it into action. So if I just take a standard wall and just draw a simple four-sided small building. And let's place a floor on that particular building. And let's also go in and place on a simple roof on the building as well. Let's have a small overhang, and we don't want any slopes. So we've got something that's representative of a small plant room or something like that. All of those components, when we've drawn them, right at the bottom of their properties window have a phasing option. And you can see that all of them are based on new construction. I'm going to select everything that I've just drawn, so the roof, the four walls, and the floor, and I'm going to say that all of those are existing components. You can see the color changes. They're no longer shaded, they're gray. And if I look at them in a 2D view, they've lost their sectional information. They're existing components. I'm then going to go ahead and draw some more geometry, but against the new construction. But before I do that, maybe I want to rename this view to be level 0 existing. I'm going to duplicate this view, and I'm going to call this one level 0 proposed. And against level 0 proposed, I'm going to draw a wall. I'm going to make sure that that wall is placed as I want it to be. So maybe it's going to be a partition wall, 75mm stud work. And I'm going to draw from there to there. I'm also going to draw one all the way across here and just there. From there, I'm going to select all of those new pieces of geometry, and I'm going to make sure they're set as new construction. At any point, if you need to change something, so perhaps this isn't new construction, maybe these are as is, I can change them to existing. If I want something to be deleted, I can select it, and I can say that it's been demolished when we go to new construction. That way my existing model, which is only showing show previous and demolished. Sorry, show previous phase, there we go. Or previous and demolished. So there is existing with what we're demolishing. We can change it to show everything against the existing. So we can control exactly the way it looks. So there's my existing view. On my proposed view, I'm showing new construction, and I want to show everything. I could just say show complete, but I can say exactly what I want Revit to show, and it will hide the demolished if it's complete. It will show the demolished if you tell it to. We can control how it looks and where it looks. Different phases align to different geometry with a different visual style to be able to control your phased approach to projects. Makes it really, really straightforward to be able to change your visualization on your drawings depending on what phase you're working on. We can do the same thing with design options. So design options works in a very similar way, but it's ever so slightly different. It's not talking about phasing, it's talking about different options for the same thing. At the bottom of my screen, right down here, I've got my design options window. And in my design options, we have the ability to create option sets. Against each option set, you might have several options. For instance, let me go ahead and once again just create a simple mock-up. And for the purpose of this, I'm just going to use walls. Against my design options, I'm going to create a new option set. We have option 1 and option 2. We can rename these as we see fit. So we have a main model with option sets. You can have as many option sets and options as you need. As soon as you start creating those, to the right of the design options window, you've got this drop down where you can say what you're working on, the main model or one of the options. You'll notice when I select an option, the main model is grayed out because that's what's not going to change. What is going to change is maybe the internal configuration of this space. So I can say that I want to have one option with walls like so. I can then have a second option with a different configuration. So I have design option 1 and design option 2. We have the ability to control what we're looking at. The main model clearly contains all of the information that we're after, but we've got the ability to show different design options within those views. Really beneficial. We can even then go on and start looking at a sheet that's got two different design options side by side. Everything is view controlled. So we can create several views, look at the different design options against those views, and then have a sheet that's looking at a view with this design option and the same view with a different design option on the same sheet. So when you're talking through that from a customer perspective, they can review and agree on one or the other option. The same thing works in 3D. So if I jump into a 3D view, we can see that the design options chop and change in the 3D view relative to what you have selected. So if you're using a visualization tool like Twinmotion, for example, and you synchronize that across to Twinmotion, or if you're using something like Enscape, which is more live, you can make these changes and have those instantly visible inside of your virtual reality or live visualization platform. Design options and phasing inside of Revit allow you to take your workflows that you do in real life and bring those into the digital design board.